Hey, Chelsea. Hey, Rolanda. Good to see you both. All right. We will go ahead and get rocking. So, what we're going to do this week is quality assurance and quality control. That is week 3. So, always like to start with a safety moment. Who has a safety moment they would want to share for the previous week or in life in general? Hey, Rolanda. Good to see you. Susanna, good to see you as well. Does anybody have a safety moment they would mind typing or sharing? Going off mute and saying or typing? Kind of start our day. Somebody give me something so we can kind of get rocking on the class. You can type it. It can be simple. You can go off mute. You can say it.
Hello, how y'all doing?
Good. What you got?
Monique, this is Monique Jones. Okay, I got a safety moment. A friend
Beautiful.
of mine worked for the steel mill, and I don't want to say which one, but and him and his friend walked under the furnace, and it's the way you could go as maintenance, but it's protocol. You supposed to tag out, or it's protocol. It's things you supposed to do before you just walk up in there, because you can get burnt up. And they had
Mm-hmm.
walked up in there. They didn't get burnt up, but they got laid off for a few months. That was a safety. They violated the safety protocol. You supposed to you supposed to when somebody go in there, you supposed to it's a tag or a lock. You supposed to lock out or tag out something along those lines to let somebody know that you are in there. And they didn't do it. They just
Mm-hmm.
they said he said he was going to get something out of there, and somebody told him that he could, so he ran on and did it. But they seen him on the camera, and the safety guy came down there and told him no, they had laid them off for a minute for that.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks for your friend, but it's good for the site to making sure people are prepared or protected. But yeah, we've had something like that. I worked in wind turbines, and you'd go up, 300-foot towers. We had people climb those the wrong way to get laid off on the spot. But I think the big thing there, Monique, just our day to day is kind of understanding your surroundings. Not all of us will go to construction zones as far as work in construction, but we will probably potentially walk around manufacturing equipment, skid steers, or forklifts somewhere. Walk under somebody working under a ladder. So those
Mhm.
things are great, Monique. What you said applies to our everydays. Beautiful. Well, I appreciate you sharing that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. So what we're going to do this week, how quality standards, I'm sorry, what are quality standards and how they select them? Like, how would you not so much select them, but how do you know what's applicable to your project? How to write quality objectives aligned with your company's policy, how to distinguish quality assurance, QA, from quality control, QC, how to build smart quality assurance and quality control metrics, and then how everything feeds into assignments 1 and 2 on the course long project. So here's our course long project. You can, and I suggest you do, start working on this. I sent you an announcement and a email that has the expectations of the course long project and a potential Word document to fill out. What you can do is each week fill out the applicable portion, so week 6 isn't such a big deal. But we did week 2, you did your process map. Now we're going to do standard objectives and QA/QC metrics, as you can see here. So, kind of what are standard objectives and quality control metrics? The process map gives us a really good understanding of our process, obviously. And I did make some comments. So, as always, you guys have the ability to resubmit. And if people had inaccuracies in their process maps, you might have gotten a low grade, but I gave you a very clear outline of hopefully of how to go forward. So you can always reach out to me. We can do a one-on-one. But my goal is for you to learn, and I'm hoping you get an A in the process. So you have the ability to resubmit. Hopefully, I've given you kind of a clear outline of how to do so. But go ahead and resubmit with what I've expected and what I've outlined, and you should get that good grade. But week 2, last week, gave us our processes. So now we have our processes. So with that in mind, that process Now, week 3, we're going to think about, okay, what standards would apply to this process? What are my objectives of this process? And how do I measure those objectives with my quality assurance and quality control metrics, right? All right. So why do standards, objectives, and metrics matter in real organizations? So standards are going to define what good looks like, or just define what you have to do, right? And then objectives are going to define, what does success mean for you, right? What does success mean for your project in this process? So standards are really, with the exception of internal standards, you're going to have a lot of external standards that you can't avoid. But then objectives are going to be more in your control as an organization to define what success means. And then quality assurance is ensuring that the process, that's a big word, the process can achieve success. So quality assurance is making sure that the process is working, right? Whereas quality control is ensuring that the output is what we want, right? And the metrics that you're going to measure by ensure the evidence of the quality assurance and quality control. So our quality standards define our quality objectives, which drives what we're doing for our quality control and quality assurance metrics, which verifies our results, right? So that's our week 2 process map, right? It's in between those project quality objectives and it's to those results, and your process map is where you're going to get your QA QC metrics. So let's look at our QMS and how that's driving our process and our QA QC. Before I go any further, I think I should stop here. Does anybody have any questions on week 2 that they want to bring up before we really deep dive into week 3? My apologies, I didn't pause before. Does anybody have any questions on week 2 that they want to talk about? Yeah, Monique. What's up? Was that meant to be a thumbs up, or were you raising your hand? All right. Well, hit me up later. I got your hands raised, but I'm not hearing what you're saying. So go ahead and type in the question or ask me, and we can figure it out. Or you can email me, and we'll take care of it. All right. See you typing there. Yep, sounds good. All right, so QMS, we want to tie that quality management system and our last week's processes into our QA/QC this week. So this is an example quality management system. We have our managerial processes, our supporting processes, and our core processes. So like I said, right, we have our core processes, the work that delivers value to the customer, supporting processes, the work that enables core processes, and management processes, right? So one of these are going to be your processes. And then we have our process flow map, our detailed process map that you all created last week, right? So this example would be from our QMS. You see purchasing right there, CP 7400. So we defined the process of purchasing. That was last week. And then this week, we're building off of that to do our QA/QC metrics. So you have your quality standards that feed into your process. ISO 9001, EPA, it could be PMBOK, Project Management Body of Knowledge, industry-specific standard, or your standard operating procedures. And then from your process map, you have your quality processes, right? Ensuring that the processes are of quality assurance, and then quality reporting, quality control, right? And so we have our plan, assurance, and control, right? So hopefully this gives you kind of an understanding of where we're going in week 3. So week 2 is, what is the process? Week 3, how do we measure and control it, right? So we're going to have our metrics attached to the steps, right? Decision points and outputs from the process map. So you can't build your metrics in a vacuum. You need to know your process. So this week 3, we're going to understand what standards, QA, QC, and objectives mean, how to apply them in real organizational context, how to build smart QA, QC metrics, and to create the content, right, that becomes the metrics portion of your project. So for us listening virtually, key phrase 1, and for those on the call, assignment 1 is a paper. It does not have to be specific to your process. although you'll see that it might help if you do have it specific to your process. There's a lot of overlap between assignment 1 and assignment 2. And then Pasita, thank you for asking. Assignment 1 has to have citations. Your paper has to have citations. Assignment 2 is your course project, and it doesn't need citations. So to start us off, what is assignment 1 this week? It is going to be a paper on standards, QA, QC, metrics, and the steps to ensure that these are integrated into your QMS. You're going to need to provide 2 standards, 5 QA metrics, 5 QC metrics, and define them and explain how they're measured. So your quality standards is going to be 15 points. Identifying 2 standards. Again, this does not have to be applicable to your project. You just can select any 2 standards you want. Explain what they mean at a high level, and then explain the 2 standards at a low level where they apply. 5 quality assurance metrics. 5 quality control metrics that are SMART. Explain them, how they would apply. And then how do all of these fit into your quality objectives? So define what quality objectives are and how your standards support objectives and how QA and QC metrics will measure those objectives, right? So for assignment 1, it is 50 points, and this is going to be the high-level rubric that you're going to be graded off of. So if you miss any of these points, if you don't have quality standards, if you don't tell me how your metrics support your objectives and how standards support your objectives, you might miss points. Any questions on assignment 1 before I get rocking? If nobody has questions, please just put in the chat, no questions, thumbs up, something to let me know that you guys are hearing it. Anybody have, what questions do you got? All right, sweet. All right, assignment 1 shows that you understand the concepts and can play them. Your paper needs to demonstrate. You know what standards, QA, QC, and objectives are. You can explain them in your own words, apply them to real organizational situations. Your metrics are SMART and realistic, and you can show how it fits together. So one thing we had last week, thank you, Anthony, and good to see you. One thing that we had last week, we had about 4 people that ended up with AI results that were about 100%. This can happen if you're still acceptably using AI, but I will need to know proof, and I reached out to y'all. It's not a penalty. It's not meant to be aggressive. I will just need to know how you used AI, and if it's at 100%, I will need to see your original document so we can make sure that it's original work. So what's an acceptable use of AI? Brainstorming ideas, asking for examples, clarifying definition, getting help understanding course concepts. So this one right here is, I think, a lot of times why people might get 100% even though they wrote it themselves. Checking grammar or improving clarity. So make sure that you save your document before you put it through anything like Grammarly or any AI so that you can have the pre-AI report that shows no AI. Then I can grade the 100% AI. Rewriting your own sentence for readability. So I run Turnitin to test for AI. If you have AI, just make sure you save it. So what's not acceptable for AI, right? Generating full paragraphs, saying to AI, I need an answer to this assignment, and copying and pasting. Creating your QA, QC metrics, right? You can ask what are some suggestions and you can build it from there. You can't have it write your standards, objective, or explanations. And in the future, we can't have you do SWOT, gap analysis, or tool results, right? So in general, we just need to make sure you're doing your own work. So if we get a 75% is typically the line I draw. 75% or greater, I'm going to reach out to you and be like, hey, can you please explain this? So like I said, if you got 100%, just submit to me your original work before 100%, and then we'll be good. All right, so for assignment 1, you don't have to do this, but I tend to find that if you do it this way, it's easier to get an A. So you give your quality management standards with examples, summarize your quality assurance with examples, summarize your quality control with examples, and integration into quality objectives. You don't have to do this, but it might help you get an A. It might be very clear where things are. There'll be no confusion. So what does excellent look like for assignment 1? Clear definition in your own words. Realistic examples from either actual organizations or realistic examples that would apply to actual organizations. smart metrics with targets and timeframes, logical connections between the three, and good writing. All right. Any questions on assignment 1 before I go forward to assignment 2? Any questions on assignment 1? Give me a thumbs up. Give me an all good. Let me know you're hearing me. I'll keep going as long as. Thank you, Cassandra. Beautiful. All right. So key phrase for assignment 2. Assignment 2 is specific to your process, and it does not have to be in paragraph format. The first one has to be a paper. The second one does not. I guess, to be honest, the expectations are very, very similar. If you can write it so that it meets both expectations, honestly, you could probably submit the same paper for both. Let's go into assignment 2. What are the expectations of assignment 2? Identify your quality standards, quality assurance, and quality control that apply to your project. So identify at least 3 quality standards that apply to your project and explain why each one is relevant. So again, the other expectation is 2. This one, you could do the same. Quality assurance metrics. Develop at least 5 QA metrics, measure your process. Same with quality control. Now, here is where we significantly deviate from assignment 1. You need to show how your QA metrics and QC metrics logically connect to your process. So you need to explain what process it connects to, what step, and then you need to also say why it makes sense. So honestly, with this one right here, I would suggest that you have 2 different papers. But what you could do is you could do paper 1 and explain quality standards that fit your project, create quality assurance metrics that fit your project, create quality control metrics that fit your project, explain how they all apply, and then take those bones, copy and paste out the relevant parts, and then explain to me where they connect with each process step. And you can do it in bullet point or paper. And then again, why is it appropriate, right? Why are they relevant to your process? So assignment 2 can be a structured list. It can be a paper. If you want to do a paper, that's fine. But you could just, introduce your process. It doesn't even have to be sentences. Just, I'm doing UPS package delivery. Literally, that's fine. And then you list 3 quality standards and briefly explain why each one's relevant. And then quality assurance and quality control. You put 5 metrics. Explain what they measure, why it fits with your process, which process step it aligns to. And then tell me how your standards and metrics support your process. So again, you can do bullet points. This could be a suggested flow. Quality standard 1, 2, 3, quality assurance 1 through 5, quality metric 1 through 5, right? What is the quality standards and why does it apply? Why is it align? What is your quality assurance metrics? What does it measure? Why is it applicable? So, gosh dang it, I thought I had this. My bad. Just give me 1 second. Where is it? Oh, I think I don't have it till the end. So at the end, I will show you an example of what I'm going to be expecting on those assignments. So again, any questions on assignment 1 or assignment 2 before I keep rocking? Give me a thumbs up, give me an okay, give me an all good, and I'll keep rocking. Perfect. Thumbs up. Got it. Monique, if you have a question, hit me up. But if you were just going to say all good, I got the all good. All right. So now let's get into what they are. So what is a quality standard? Quality standard ensures to reduce variation and ensure repeatability. Let's get into what quality standards are. I think showing good quality standards is a better way than defining them. One thing I would say is standard specifications and requirements are different. So a standard is going to be a broad expectation where you're going to get specifications and requirements are more detailed, right, for a specific product or output. So let's see here. But your standards, right? So you're going to have internal standards, standard operating procedures, work instructions, policies. You're going to have OSHA. I would ask that nobody uses OSHA, please. OSHA is a great standard, but it is a safety standard. I really want to get into more of the quality. EPA, FDA, state and local codes, legal standard of care, ISO, AS 9100, IATF, and then the NEC, NESC, electrical stuff. Contract requirements, Lean, Six Sigma, PMBOK, right? These are all things that are quality standards. So if you want to do really easy, you could use a Six Sigma and an ISO 9000. Those apply to everything, and it's really easy to define them. You guys have already defined them. So those could be your two. Those are probably, ISO 9000 is probably going to apply to all of your processes, right? If you have construction, ISO 9000. Manufacturing, ISO 9000. Service administration, ISO 9000. So that's a low-hanging fruit. Everybody can use ISO. We have some other examples here that I, kind of looked off the internet, but I'm not as familiar. Definitely know OSHA for safety. NEC, NESC is electrical. And then you have automotive standards, aerospace standards, subcontract, I think this is ledger agreements, internal SOPs. So like I said, ISO 9001 is a standard that's pretty much everywhere. So you can everybody can use that. Everybody can use that. Just explain to me why you would use it specifically for your project or process, and define it broadly. But if you want a low-hanging fruit, everybody can use ISO 9001. So other common ones, right? EPA for environmental compliance. OSHA, I would ask that nobody uses OSHA, please. I don't think I'm going to count that. It's safety. PMBOK, right? Project Manager Body of Knowledge. Lean and Six Sigma. These are all standards. So how do you select standards for your process? Really, I got a whole bunch of words up there that you can kind of read on your own. But what you need to do is you need to research what industry your process is. So maybe what company you're doing, and then look at what industry it is and look at the process and look at the standards that measure it. Two easy ones. Like I said, ISO is easy. Another really easy one is going to be internal standard operating procedures, right? That's going to be a really easy one. You got to define what those are, but internal SOPs is also one that's going to apply to you all. And then you can use, Six Sigma if you're manufacturing. Six Sigma might not work for a process if you're doing, the Mayo Clinic, but the HIPAA, I think it's HIPAA. But anyway, I think we get it. So logistics and fulfillment, Amazon, right? You're going to work on safety, consistency, accuracy. Healthcare is going to be patient safety, data protection, clinical quality. Automotive, defect prevention, banking compliance, retail, customer service, government services, right? You can read this on your own, look into it, but I think we're getting an understanding of what standards are. Does anybody have any questions about standards and what they are and how you're going to apply them to your project? What questions do we have about standards? I think standards are going to be pretty good, pretty easy to find. But does anybody have any questions on what quality standards are? Quality management standards. None yet. Sweet. Feel free to email me. I hope I'm very responsive. But if you have any questions on standards, hit me up. Then we have quality objectives. So quality objectives translate your quality management system into specific measurable targets, right? And they are things that you're going to try and shoot for that your QA/QC metrics will measure. So this is actually, I don't think it's kind of in your homework. It's kind of not. You do have to define how your objectives are being met by your quality assurance and quality control. So it is a little bit in your homework, but it's definitely something you need for alignment. Objectives are going to be measured by indicators and need targets, right? So that's what we see on the screen. An objective could be achieve a high level of service user satisfaction. So what's going to measure that? Number of customer complaints, and then what's your goal? Less than 2 complaints submitted in 2019. So this right here, number of customer complaints and less than 2 customer, you can create that to be a quality control metric for that objective, and that's kind of the goal. So quality objectives are going to be goals of your process. Right? So the Toyota one's going to be really easy. Toyota is probably going to be minimizing, since you're doing the inspection process, you're probably not so much wanting to minimize out of spec work, because that's probably going to be a goal of the processes before. So if you have the inspection process, you're probably going to have a goal more like ensuring no inspections are missed, right? That everything's caught within the process. New hire process. Your objective for new hire process could be successfully getting somebody through the process within 6 months, or it could be ensuring that this individual is ready to go to work. And how do you measure that? They've gotten A, B, and C. I hope I'm making sense. So objectives. Does anybody have any questions about our quality standards or our quality objectives and how they're going to use these for our homework? Quality objectives is a little bit in your homework 1, but it also outlining your objective for your process will help you understand what metrics you should be doing. So what questions do you have on that? Again, before I move forward, just give me a thumbs up or an all good, and I will move forward. Or ask me questions. Somebody give me an all good. Somebody give me a thumbs up. I want to make sure we're still here. All right, sweet. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to get into the bulk of what this is about and the most challenging part. That is going to be quality assurance and quality control. Can somebody give me, either by texting or going off mute, what is the difference between quality assurance and quality control? Does somebody have an example or what they want to share? What is the difference between quality assurance and quality control? Type in assurance versus control. What is that? Or go off mute. Somebody give me an example or a description of the difference between the two, please. Or give me the definition of one and somebody can give me the definition of the other high level.
I have one, I think.
Yeah.
Quality control focuses more on the processes of it. I'm getting them mixed up. So quality assurance is going to focus more on the processes, but quality control is more about inspections, making sure there's no defects or anything like that.
Perfect, Rolanda. That's exactly right. Assurance is prevention, controls inspecting, identifying after. You both got it, right? Assurance is during the process. It's preventative. Control is kind of at the end, making sure that nothing gets out there. Assurance ensures the process can produce its quality, right? It focuses on prevention, training, documentation, audits, and readiness. Control ensures the output meets requirements, right? Focus on detection, inspection, testing, and acceptable criteria. Now, quality control and quality assurance is very easy if we think about things like construction or manufacturing. But quality assurance and quality control for some of the things that don't produce things. So for the people in the class who have the new hire, right? Or the Mayo Clinic or the Passport Service. Well, Passport Service probably works. But some of these processes, they don't produce things that you can touch with your hand, right? The Mayo Clinic produces a healthy person, or maybe that's not the goal. Maybe the goal isn't healthy. Maybe the goal is that they're met through the process. So some of these quality assurance and quality controls might be a little bit difficult. You're really going to have to understand what your process produces, what the objectives are, and how can you measure them. So quality assurance defines the process, right? Monitors the output. Proactive, reactive, personnel functions, training. Okay, here's another low-hanging fruit. Every single one of you can use training as quality assurance. Every single one of you. Quality control is what the product does, how it functions, a walkthrough. Prevent, final defects, right? So how do they fit in with your process maps? Quality assurance is going to be before your processes, training, calibration, documentation, readiness. Quality control is going to be after key steps, inspection, document controls. Quality assurance can be at major steps as long as it's measuring adherence and correct use of the tools and systems, but not measuring outputs, right? Think about it. Is my metric measuring that the process is working or that the output is good? If it's process, it's assurance. If it's output, it's control. At key decision points, again, You can just review completion, risk checks, approvals, quality control between departments and handoffs periodically and at acceptance points. So hopefully we've defined quality assurance versus quality control. Now let's get to what makes a good metric. So both of these are going to be, a good quality assurance metric is that the process is being executed correctly, focuses on inputs, controls, behaviors, readiness, right? It's preventative, right? So the quality assurance metric, is the process helpful or healthy and capable? Is the process working like it should, right? So anything that can support your week 2, the process you laid out, your quality assurance is saying, is this process assurance or is this process working correctly, right? And any assessment that does that or anything that helps it by improving the input, for example, training, is a quality assurance metric. Another thing that you're going to get graded on is SMART metrics, making sure it's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. The really, really big one there is the M, measurable. So what does a SMART measure look like? So a vague measurement could be improved documentation accuracy. You will not get full points for that. Reduce documentation errors to less than 2% per month. Now it's measurable. Ensuring training is complete is not a full goal. 100% of employees complete required training before starting flow work. That is now a SMART measurable metric. Reduce defects is not going to get you full points. Limit mechanical installation defects to less than 2 per array block, right? That is a SMART measurable metric. So you're going to be required to not only identify correct quality assurance metrics, but to make sure that they are measurable. And that is going to be in both assignment 1 and 2. So a quality assurance metric needs to answer what is being measured, how will it be measured, what is the target of your measurement, why does it matter, and when or how often it is measured. So if your paper, when you write it and you give examples, this doesn't have to be 5 sentences. It can be pretty quick, but you have to explain all of those things to make it SMART, and that's going to be part of your grade. Common mistakes to avoid, right? So listing standards without explaining why they apply. Confusing QA and QC metrics. Not having SMART metrics. For assignment 2, not having metrics that actually align to your process. And then generic or vague explanations that could apply to any organization. That's okay for assignment 2. That is not okay that's okay for assignment 1, but not assignment 2. So let's look at some QA metric examples that could be used. So these aren't SMART, but these are different kind of examples of what you can use. Amazon or UPS, training completion rate, scanner calibration compliance, standard operating procedure adherence, Toyota, inspector recertification rate, torque tool calibration on-time percentage, audit findings closed, right? These are not SMART metrics, but they are metrics that you can do to create SMART metrics. The Mayo Clinic, triage protocol adherence, HIPAA training compliance, documentation accuracy, right? Our Bank of America folks, loan documentation completion rate, compliance training completion, return policy training completion, point of sale procedure adherence, U.S. Department of State, identity verification training completion, right? So they're assessing the processes. So we're going to go a little bit faster through quality control because it's a little bit simpler and easier to understand than quality assurance. Before I do, thank you all for giving me thumbs up and all goods. I'm going to ask for it again. Either give me a thumbs up, all good, or ask a question. Do you have any questions about quality assurance? What questions do you have? Okay, Anthony got a thumbs up. That is good. Chelsea got a thumbs up. Feel free to ask questions if you have them, though. I do invite them, but thumbs up are good. Just make sure that we're all good and listening. Rolanda, I see you typing. Please continue to type, and if you have a question, we'll go back to it. Yes, it is, Rolanda. And what I'll do is when I grade them, I will give you, hey, this is a quality assurance metric or this is a quality control metric. And I'll explain why. And you can argue, you point if you want. but you will have the chance to resubmit for extra points, right? If you don't have them. I would say that manufacturing processes, it's pretty clear what a quality assurance and quality control process or metric is when you're producing something. Of course, Rolanda. Some of you guys, we picked processes that are great, but they're going to be a little bit more difficult to understand the difference between the two because you're not creating things, right? But quality control metrics, right? It's measuring what the product or service, making sure it meets requirements, right? I think we're good here. So examples. I'll let you read through these on your own. They're measuring the output. Oop, sorry. QC, tisk. See, look at that. I didn't do my QC. Not accurate enough. All right. Okay, so here's where I'm going to need you guys to please participate. So everybody be ready to type in. Okay, let's say we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of you. I need at least 4 of you to answer so we can go forward. So is this a quality assurance or is this quality control? Verifying completion of mandatory safety and equipment handling training before the employee begins work floor. I need 4 answers before I can go. Let's get 4 answers. Okay. All right, we got 3. We just need 1 more. Oops, sorry, Anthony. We're going to go off mute. Cool. All right. Let's see if we all are right. Yes. Quality assurance. Thank you, everybody. This ensures that the employee is prepared to execute the process before it begins. I think I got like 6 of these, right? So that was our new hire. Now we're going to do Amazon order fulfillment. Scanning a picked item to confirm it matches the customer order before packing. Quality assurance or quality control. Scanning a picked item to make sure it matches the customer order before packing. All right, we're saying control. Boom. That is correct. Quality control because it's checking the accuracy of the output. Great. Thank you all. So, reviewing the loan application checklist to ensure all documents are present before underwriting. Quality assurance. Let's see. We all agree with that? Oh, a little question. This one is a little more ambiguous, right? So it's a quality assurance. Okay. So in reviewing the loan application checklist to ensure all required documents are present before underwriting. Okay, so this is going to be quality assurance because we are doing the loan application. So I think you could argue that this is ambiguous. So if our loan application process, if it's bound by the individual starting the application and ending the application, if that's what it's bound by, I would argue that the loan application checklist could be seen as quality control. However, if our loan application process is bound by the individual starting the application all the way through execution of the loan application. So if it includes underwriting, then I would say it's quality assurance. And that's what we had. But Susanna, your quality control, I think it really depends on how big the process is. All right. Our Mayo Clinic folks, measuring and recording a patient's vital signs during triage. What do we think? Quality assurance or quality control? QC. QA, okay. So this is going to require, these are when they get a little tough because this is the Mayo Clinic's job to understand what is my outcome, right? Quality control. So the outcome is your patient's health. So it's capturing the output data used to verify the patient's current conditioning. So this would be quality control if this is the output, right? What is your objective? What is your output? Is this measuring the output? Because this is the patient intake, your patient's vital signs is probably going to be the end of this process, and this is going to be an outcome. If this was the patient, overall lifespan of their time at the hospital, this might be quality assurance. All right, I think I only have a couple more. I wanted to do one per project. Target customer return. Confirming the return product matches the SKU in the system before issuing a refund. Quality assurance or quality control. QA. Two more, and we'll keep rocking. Did I get enough? No, I didn't. Okay, cool. Oh, quality control. All right, so this verifies the correctness of the returned item before completing the transaction. All right, so the output of this system is going to be not issuing a refund. So in order for this to be quality control, the customer return is going to be executing that customer return successfully, and not so much the refund process. So it's verifying the correctness of the return item before completing the transaction. It would be quality assurance if our process went through. I think this is just quality control. But I think who had said it, Rolanda, right? That one I would have gone with kind of, and I wrote this, but that one was tough for me. So what we got to think about is that helping the process is helping the outcome. Hopefully this is helping and not confusing. Okay, verifying that all inspectors assigned a final inspection have completing annual recertification for critical inspection tasks. I think this one's going to be a little more black and white. Is this quality assurance or quality control? Yes, okay, right? Anything, all of you can have a couple easy quality assurances. Making sure your people are certified and making sure they go through training. All of that is going to be quality assurance, right? Because what we're doing is we are preparing our folks to do their work. I think the way that this might be quality control would be if your process is actually getting the inspectors certified. All right, I think I have a couple more. U.S. passport application process. Reviewing the applicant's documentation for completeness and eligibility before processing. I'll just go ahead and answer that. They have quality assurance. Yes, beautiful. So reviewing the documentation for completeness and eligibility before processing ensures process is correct and compliant before work proceeds. So if it's mid-process, ensuring the process is working properly, it's quality assurance. If it's reviewing an output, it's quality control. Scanning the package at delivery to confirm successful handoff to customer. This verifies the final output delivery meets the required condition, quality control. To me, I guess I would have seen this as quality control. The only way it's quality assurance, because I would see your delivery process as being what you're producing. And so scanning the package to confirm successful handoff to the customer. That would be if your delivery, so the delivery process is going to be, the output is going to be having the customer have the package. So quality control might be something like how many returns do we have? This is quality assurance because you're ensuring that you are doing the process correctly before the output. All right. Confirming that all employees assigned to the process have completed training. Remember, training is quality assurance. Everybody can do training. Everybody can do certification for their processes. All right. Thank you all for playing along. I appreciate it. Hopefully I didn't confuse you. But there were a few of those where I would agree with you. It's kind of ambiguous, quality assurance versus quality control. This would actually be a good use of AI. If you're like, hey, I got this metric AI, is this quality assurance or quality control and why? And they can kind of explain it to you to help you process that. Okay. I think we're good here. Let's see what we got. I think we already went through this quite a bit. So make sure you're reviewing the grading rubrics to ensure you're meeting expectations. All right. So this is kind of where we start getting into the conclusion portion of the class, and it will take the full 15 minutes we have left. I have quite a bit. But what do we have as far as questions, right? So assignment 1 is going to be a written paper that makes it so you understand what a quality standard is and show me examples and what they do. A quality assurance metrics and show me some SMART examples. Quality control metrics and show me some SMART examples. And how the standards, quality assurance and quality control metrics tie to your objectives or general objectives. How do they all run together? So assignment 1 is going to be that. Assignment 1 needs to be a paper. Assignment 1 needs to have citations. Assignment 2 has a lot of overlap. So if you do assignment 1 with your process in mind, you've already taken a lot of steps towards assignment 2. Because assignment 2 is very similar, but it requires 3 standard quality management standards that apply to your project. And then you need our process, and you need to explain why these standards apply to your process. And then you need to define 5 QA SMART metrics, 5 QC SMART metrics, similar to assignment 1, but now you need to say, where does this align with the process, right? And how are you going to measure it, right? And how does it all work together? So kind of repeated everything. What questions do you have about assignment 1, assignment 2? Quality standards. Yeah, Susanna, I see you're off mute. What questions do you have?
Yes. For the assignment 2, I know you kind of went over having bullets when we write, because it's not a paper. We don't need to do a full paper, but essentially just more of explanation, and you're not counting certain number of pages.
No, not counting number of pages, not counting words. I haven't put that expectation in any of my assignments this session.
Okay.
I think if you have pages and words that are sometimes in the description, but I had that for my PowerPoint, 12 slides, but as long as you answer the question, you're good. I skipped ahead of you, Susanna, to kind of show you what I expect. So this is a process that none of you have. It's the Mortenson Solar EPC. Right. And so what would an assignment 2 look like? So an assignment 2 would look like possibly this, telling me this is the company, this is the process, and here's 3 quality standards. Here's 1 standard. This is required for all utility solar grade work, right? Here's another standard. This ensures the PV modules meet standard performance. And here's the internal standards, right? So this is all you need. You need to tell me 3 standards and why they apply to your process. Then you need to give me 5 SMART QA metrics, right? So I say percentage of this, target. This is what we're going to do, right? And I say percentage of this is our target. Percentage of this is our target, right? Now what I'm missing here a little bit is how we're going to measure it. But I think this would get full points. Why are they appropriate, right? So this can be, this is kind of what the metrics are. You can have another bullet point, but I have it separate that says, why are these appropriate? And it kind of explains training completion, right? Why are these things appropriate to my process? Then I do the same for QC metrics. Explain my QC metrics. And then why are they appropriate? And then I explain how do they align with my process steps. So training completion is going to happen at pre-construction. You'll see here, I have concept and preliminary design. Well, I wouldn't get a good grade there because I don't have yes, I do. Number 5, pre-construction. So that goes to pre-construction, right? I'm saying at what point in my process this would work, right? Susanna, does that make sense? My expectations on that second one?
Yes. Thank you.
No, of course. So I'll get to the learning summaries here. I'm not going to read this, but I do have the detailed grading. If you want to look at the PowerPoint, this is kind of for your own thing. If you want to see the points and how I'm doing this and how I'm measuring, this will be copied and pasted into the rubric, but it's also included in your PowerPoint. For assignment 1, did I define quality standards, QA, QC, and objectives in my own words? Do I apply them to a realistic organizational contract? Are all of my metrics smart? Did I explain what each measures? Did I show how they connect? And is my writing good? Assignment 2, I'll let you read this on your own if you want, but that's what I'm using as far as my basis. Did I introduce my process? Not so much in sentences. You can just introduce your process. My apologies for that. Do I have at least 3 relevant standards? Did I create 5 metrics, right? Explain what they mean, right? And then this is kind of my example. So before I get to the learning summaries, any questions? Thank you for that question, Susanna. Anybody else have questions on assignment 1, 2, or anything we've gone over this week? Anything I can help you with? And hopefully the learning package also helps you. All right. Assuming none of it has anything, let's go through the homework assignments and what can help. So statistical methods for quality assurance, dense, not great for homework. If you want to know about statistical measurements, it's great, but if you don't, it's not helpful. Quality assurance and measurement, very helpful, writing your QA metrics. So this quality assurance and measurements paper is very helpful for your QA metrics. The framework of quality assurance is about internal auditing. We're going to talk about that in week 5, I think. So this will be helpful for that, not very helpful for this week. Using QA metrics throughout the QA lifecycle, only for QA again, but very helpful for QA. This one, quality management systems, a little bit old news, so not so helpful for this week. PMBOK, definitely a great resource. Gives you a really good understanding of QA and QC. So the MITRE QA metrics lifecycle PMBOK, they are directly helpful. I would say your statistical methods could be helpful, but your internal audit manual and QMS are not so helpful. All right, so let's see what else we got here. So we went through our grading. I'm going to fly through that. We went through an example assignment 2. Discussion. I don't do a great job of reviewing discussion, but if you miss some points on discussion and I've told you what you've missed, you can get points back. I'm really looking for the fact that you're thinking about it and how to apply it. So this week's discussion prompt is, let's look at it here. Come on, Doug. Is going to be using the same organization or project that you considered in Module 2. What policies or procedures should be followed to ensure quality outcomes? So that's this, right? So I need you to describe specific. This is a big one. I need you to show understanding. Don't just describe policies. Show that you know what they mean. That's going to be full points. Then what do you consider as internal and external influences? So identifying that, right? And explaining how they've impacted. And then what data do you need, right? So I really want to understand, and full points is going to be a discussion, the why. Don't just give me an academic answer. Give me an understanding of what you're thinking about. All right. And then peer responses. Okay. So to conclude this week, standards define what good looks like for your process, high level. Objectives translate your QMS and your standards into targets for your process. QA measures whether the process can meet objectives. Prevention. QC, the output, right? And then we have this nice little image here. Quality standards define, drives, verifies, right? I think we're good here. Those key takeaways. Make sure that you understand the difference between the 3, that your metrics are smart. Make sure that you're completing assignment 1, assignment 2, and discussion. And then next week, we're going to talk about your organization. Yes, Susanna, that sounds fine. You can stay on and we'll talk about it. One thing I want to end with before we end the class is your week 6. It's going to be a lot of work if you don't get ahead of it. So, your executive summary, you're going to write that last. Your introduction into a company, you're probably going to want to do that in week 4. SWOT analysis, week 4. So what can you do? Look at the thing I sent you, and you can do that chapter on introduction to your process. You can do that chapter on process map. And then this week, you can do the chapter on quality standards and QA/QC metrics. I'm saying chapter, I'm sorry. It's like a paragraph or so. But you can work on this while you go, and I sent that through your announcements. So here's what you can do so far, right? Introduction to your process. This portion here, a description of the process where it fits, and copy and paste your process map, right? And quality standards assurance and control metrics, write a narrative of the applicable quality standards, why these standards apply to your process, quality objectives for the process, the QA and QC metrics you did, and why you chose them. Now, this is gonna be weird because I told you assignment 2 could be bulleted. This has to be paragraph form. So if you want to do both in paragraph form, that's fine. Keep everything you're doing in one folder. Write in your paragraphs week over week, right? Don't wait to the end. That's how you're going to make this manageable. One last thing. This is in the lesson plan, but we're going to talk about this later. So these right here are quality metrics for an organization. They're not quality assurance or quality control metrics of your process. They're for the organization, and we will talk about these, I think, either week 4 or 5, but that's in your lesson plan. All right, that is it. Before I get to Susanna about the final, does anybody have any questions about week, I guess, 1, 2, or 3 that they want to talk about before I move on to the final? If you don't have questions, all right, send me an email. Perfect. If you don't have questions you want to talk about here, we're going to talk about the final next. You can sign off and you have a wonderful week. Hopefully these, sessions are helping you with the homework and helping you understand. Reach out to me. Resubmit your work. You can get an A. We just need to work together. Good evening. Thank you. All right, Susanna, what do you got for the final? Have a good night, Janae. What do you have, Susanna,
Yes.
for the final?
So the final course project is essentially
yes.
what we're doing each week.
It's a little bit more detailed than that. So it's everything that you've done each week, but I'm requiring some kind of introspection.
Additional.
A little bit assumptions of what you're going to do. So what I've sent you is this.
Oh,
As
okay.
an
I was just
outline.
opening it up too. Sorry, let me
And
go.
you're fine. Each section kind of tells you what I'm asking for, right? So for week 2, all you had to do is a process map. Here
Yes.
I'm asking you to do a written description of the process, where it fits within the organization, and the what you think the overall process quality effectiveness is, and a summary of the flow map. So you copy and paste your flow map, but you give me a paragraph summarizing it, right? You're showing it to me that you kind of understood what you did that week.
Is that, did you
Yeah,
send that separately? Is this document? Because I have the final
It
course
is.
project
So
or
let's see
outline
here.
that you wanted us to use, right?
Yep. So I sent
Oh,
it
it's
as an
actually, yeah,
announcement.
it's there.
So if you
Sorry,
go to
I do see
here-
it in your,
Yeah, and then you can download it right there.
yes, okay, that's the one I opened. So it is there. I see it too. Okay. So this is, okay, I'll follow this as far as the final project. And then the the exam. So we'll have
Yes.
2 things week 6. I didn't review it before asking you all this, but
No, you're
I'm
fine.
thinking in my head. So this is the one project, which is the final course project. And then
Yep.
week 6 we'll also do this take-home exam or the initial exam. That's where I was confused.
Yeah. Okay. So let's look at. I got to view this as a student, so I don't show you anything that you shouldn't see. Okay. So go to home here. I think if we go here to week 6, we should see what we're talking about. All right, right there is a written examination. So if you click
Okay.
on this, you're going to
Mhm.
have 90 minutes to do what they give you. My take-home exam is a little bit harder. I kind of developed it to take 120 minutes,
Mhm.
but you have as much time as you want, right? So you can do it throughout the whole course, or if you want, you can do this written examination that's timed whenever you want. Does that make sense?
Yes, okay. And we don't know what the question is or questions.
The questions are going to be
This written examination, is it like we need to, what will we have at least an idea of what we're going to be writing about?
similar to but different than what I've sent you. It's not completely different. Those are very similar questions. I've specifically changed them, but not crazy. You know what I mean?
Okay, and when you said send them, that's the take-home one I should look at?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, here, I'll open it. Written exam prep, it says.
Yeah, it's called a prep. I should have renamed
Okay.
it, but I mean, you can use it as prep if you want. That will help you. But
So, okay, so I opened this document, the written exam prep. So this is your take home as well? And
it is the go. Yep.
okay. And then the
you
90-minute will be similar to this structure of what we're going to be answering, but it will be timed.
It is going to be a little different. I
I
can't
guess
promise
that's
that
where I'm confused. Like, I wish we had, we would have at least more understanding or
Sorry.
expect to know what the expectation is, to at least
That is
study
why I'm
for.
giving you the opportunity to do the written exam. If you want to know what you're supposed to do the written exam. That's also why I'm
Okay.
providing it.
Because I
'Cause
like
this is
to know, to be prepared as opposed to surprise.
then do
This
the
is
written
what you're
exam.
expected. Okay.
Then that's why the written
Okay.
exam is better. If you don't like to be surprised, you're going to want to do the written exam. But I
Okay.
will say that it is going to be similar to what is in this written exam. This take home is going to be similar to what's in the test.
Okay. Okay. It's just, this is more where I would have more time to read through the articles and just make sure I know, as opposed to the 90-minute where I'll be more. Okay. I got it. I think that's what I wanted to understand.
Deal.
Okay, so 6, our full course project, and then this written exam.
Okay, so week 6 is even more complicated than that, which is why I'm trying to get everybody to prepare for week 6 as soon as they can, because that's not all you have to do. They really make it hard for you on week 6. So week 6, if we go to week 6, it's like 300 points of your whole class. So week 6, you need to have, there are assignment 1, quality management tools and techniques, assignment 2, this full submission and a written examination. That's why I'm trying to push people to get ahead of yourself. This is so much work in a discussion, right? So it's, this is 250, this is 450 points. So definitely get ahead of it.
And just for clarification, what's our deadline for this? Because I know you give us 4 additional weeks.
This one would not have that at all. No.
Okay, so our deadline is April 19th, our last day of class.
Yes. I will give you a little reprieve, but I can't let you all just take past that date. You know what I mean? This is pretty much, that's the last day, so I kind of need you to get it done by that day.
Okay, got it. That's good to know. Okay. But trying to start on
Yes, if anybody's listening to the recording and those that popped off don't get this, but you guys, this is why I want you to be diligent of getting ahead of it, because the Indiana Tech, I don't make this. They just give it to me to teach to, and they load up your week 6. It's hell. If you wait till week 6 to do all this. It's going to be very difficult to do that.
Okay. Okay, great. I'm glad I know because we're taking spring break, so I wanted to kind of understand how to spend my week, my evenings. Okay,
All right.
got it. Well, thank you for
Well, thank you
this.
for asking the questions, and have a great week. I'm going to go ahead and end this. Is that okay?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Cassandra. Thanks, Susanna. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.